Hey, what's up? Welcome to Hypotheticals. If you haven't listened to this one before, I try to have a slightly different approach to looking at basketball. It's not going to be the same takes. If you look at like some of the previous episodes, I've talked about how I can actually make some stats that have to do with creativity in basketball, and so there's a couple of episodes on that. You can also check out our TikTok to see a bit more. But today, just so many crazy trades happened, and there's just not enough content out there for me at the moment. Unfortunately, I was already baked when I found out this information, so I will be baked for the remainder of this podcast. But I just thought we need some content right now because there's so much happening, and the trade deadline ends in still like 12 hours, maybe slightly longer than that. So we need something to get us through then, because too much has happened to just not be talked about. So let's just get into it, I reckon. Let's have a look. So I guess the big headliner is KD has gone to the Phoenix Suns, which is pretty exciting, with TJ Warren, I might add, which is pretty good. I guess just to look at this one, I think some of the talking points that are going to come out of this and are kind of interesting are going to be stuff like, does Phoenix now have the best starting five in the NBA? And that's an interesting question because if you look at it, top to bottom, anyone on that starting five can go for 20 any night. Maybe not CP, but he'll affect the game in other ways. But it's CP, it's Devin Booker, it's TJ Warren, it's Kevin Durant, and it's DeAndre Ayton. And then each of those people has like someone sort of half decent to back them up, except for CP, I think. But, Devin can run point and stuff. But that's a strong scoring starting five, and it's scary as well in the playoffs. There's a lot of people that can really nail you in the playoffs there, which I love. I think that's awesome. And I think for them, and the other thing as well, is there's a lot of people on there that have reasons to really, really try this season, to really, really try, which is like an important factor. Because I think with the Nets, it was starting to deteriorate because no one really gave a shit. Like Ben Simmons didn't care. KD was trying. Kyrie was like sort of trying, but it just kind of felt like this weird mismatch of a team. This has reasons for everybody to try and win, like except for DeAndre Ayton. But like if you look at it, CP, obviously he's getting older, he's getting worse. This is as good as it's going to get going forward. So he needs to win one this year. Devin Booker, I feel like he really took that Bucks finals loss quite personally. A couple mistakes that were on his side or things that happened to him ended up costing them the series. You know, a lot of those games were really close. So I think there's something for him. He wants to prove that he can win a championship. KD obviously wants to prove that he can win one without the Warriors. So all three of those guys are going to be really fired up. I think DeAndre Ayton, hopefully this gives him a new fire and he wants to really perform. But I really like the set of this team. I also like teams that can really punish you in the half court, and they can do that. I also like teams where they have an option for someone that can really beat you on the fast break, and I don't know if they really have someone like that. Like a Giannis, or I guess that's what Westbrook was kind of supposed to do for the Lakers. But De'Aaron Fox, for example, someone that if there's a fast break and you see them breaking off, it's already 2 points, or it's 2 points and a foul, or it's just dangerous. I love those types of people. I don't know if they have them, but at the end of the day, I guess it's not super important to most people other than me. But just to give you an idea, like I think that's why the Kings are so good this season. They can kill you in the half court, or they can kill you in transition. It's just a nightmare. It's just you're constantly getting pounded. It sucks. All right, let's go to the next bit here, which is KD and his career. It's kind of an interesting move for KD's career. I guess the thing that I would sort of look at, and I think it's relevant with what's happened with LeBron in the last 24 hours, getting the scoring title. I think the thing with KD is he has to look at himself and go, what does he want his career to look like? What does he want going forward? Is he going to be a Phoenix Sun for the next 4 years? Because it's kind of interesting, like you think of it now and you're like, oh wow, this is happening now, but it's like, this could be the next 4 years of the Phoenix Suns, is like an aging CP, Devin Booker heading into his prime and being in his prime, and KD sort of slowly coming out of his prime. But with people's bodies these days, he could go for ages. So I guess for me, it's like, is this his new team? Like, is KD just a Sun now, and that's just it? Maybe. I don't know. it's kind of weird to think about. I don't think of the Suns like that, but I do think that Monty's a good coach, and I do think that he's going to get a lot of the things that he liked about the Warriors from this team. And I also think that you've got enough veteran presence there between the both of them that this is going to be one of the scariest teams to play in the playoffs. There's just too many people that can make good decisions at the right time and can make shots at the right time. I just think it's awesome. I really hope, I like the Bucks this year, and I hope that it is a Suns-Bucks rematch. That would be absolutely epic, except if it's KD, because then you've got the history of the KD toe on the line meets the Phoenix Suns, so it's like a Giannis revenge death match against the Suns. I think that would be epic, personally, as someone who's picked the Bucks to win this year. But anyway, I guess back to the point, why... does KD, what sort of career does he want now? Is he sort of removed from that Warriors stink of joining a championship team and just getting to championships with them? I think this is kind of different. This is closer to when he just went to the Nets and kind of wanted his own team. I think this is, even though there's already something established in Phoenix, I think that this is still his own thing. It's new. They went to the finals once and lost. They still haven't got a championship. If he can bring a championship to Phoenix, I mean, that's epic. So I hope that's good. The other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about with this trade, before we get into any of the other ones, is that this trade reminds me a lot of the AD trade made a couple of years ago that brought AD to the Lakers. Because a lot of things are similar in my mind, except I think the Suns are slightly better off. But if we remember the AD trade, a lot of good players were shipped out, and AD was brought back. And, those players like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo, Kuzma, a lot of good serviceable players. Josh Hart, who will not be really discussed in this podcast. I think it's fine for the Knicks, but I like Josh Hart. I have some good Josh Hart stock, but whatever. Anyway, with the AD trade and the KD trade, it's both of them are sort of, you're mortgaging all of your future. There's 4 first-round picks in the KD trade today, plus others, I believe, was the sort of news. But, with this KD trade, they really have, to win. I think this is going to be their best year because CP is not going to get better next year. So this is the year to win. And then next year you can kind of hope that something else kind of salvages itself and that happens. But this is a win now move, obviously. It's a win over the next year and 2 years, before we see what happens to CP. Hopefully he can play a little bit better. But I just wonder, is this going to make them the best team in the West? That's going to be another storyline, I feel like, coming out of this. Are they the best team in the West? And I think the answer is still no. I still like the construction of the Nuggets, but this is pretty good. And, for Phoenix, this is going to mean that they're going to have to keep winning for the next, 7-8 years, given all the picks they've given up, unless they start making other moves. But really, that's what they're looking at, is this is a sort of longer-term move as well. That's gonna, it's a long-term move in the sense that all their future's gone right now. But good on them for making this trade. I like when big trades happen in the NBA. All right, let's jump over to some of these other ones. Let's talk about Kyrie and Luka. A lot of people were confused by this one. Kyrie's had a bit of a weird couple seasons where he's, off kind of, in his own world, much as I am right now. But I'm not as conspiratorial or anything right now, but Kyrie's been off on his own thing. Luka's been struggling a little bit. He did really well last year to get the Western Conference Finals, but he's been struggling this year. And I understand this trade a little bit in the sense that I think Luka kind of plays like a combination between James Harden and LeBron James. Strong, physical, can wear people down like that on offense, or he can just dribble, and wait to see what the defense does and then attack their mistake. So in that sense, I think he's kind of a LeBron James Harden is what I'd call him. And of course, Kyrie's had success with LeBron. So in that sense, if you think of it in that way, it makes sense as a trade. And, some trades I think are really just on paper trades. I think a lot of the Nets when they were making their big three in Brooklyn, that was a lot of on-paper trades, and they're trades that I think about where it's like, it makes sense if you're playing 2K and you as one person can control all the people, that's when the Brooklyn Nets were at their best on 2K. But when you watch it live, there's too much, not everyone's on the same page, and everyone's got their own individual agendas, and, on the Brooklyn Nets, it was agendas outside even the basketball that's being played, and so, some teams are good on paper, but when you actually see them play, you're like, this doesn't work because they're mentally kind of in different places. So this one, I don't know how much it's going to be and just an on-paper trade, because Kyrie's different than he was in 2016, mentally, in the sense that he's just got other concerns than basketball. And I don't think that Luka has been... I think all great players kind of need a moment when they are brutally shamed by another team, and it makes them a lot better. And I don't know if Luka's had his yet, and I think he's going to need that to win. So, to give you an example of some players that recently that had that, Giannis had that moment when the Bucks, the year before they won, in 2019 when the Raptors won, the Bucks were up 2-0 on the Raptors, and they looked like they were going to absolutely just slide through the series, and then they lost in 6. And that, when I was watching that, I saw that what that taught Giannis was to give him, he needs to have a mid-range shooting game, and he needs to have a post fade, and he got both those things after that series. So the next year he had the mid-range, and if you watch him this year, he pulls up from mid-range all the time, and it just makes his game so much harder to defend. But he just didn't have it in the 2019 series, and I think for them they consider that a blown title chance. Against an injured Warriors in the finals, they would have definitely won. I think last year for Tatum and Brown, it was the Warriors when the Celtics had an 80% chance of winning the finals, and then they lost. That for them was the moment that I think it could be the thing that pushes them over, and makes them the best version of themselves. We all know with LeBron, it was the 2011 Mavericks. They showed him hey, you need to learn something. You need to learn how to post up. You need to learn how to play with small players on you. And so he comes back the next year and wins the championship. So I just think there's a lot of these types of opportunity, a lot of these types of things that happen. I actually think I think using that theory, I think also that if KD had stayed in OKC, they may have won the next season, because I think he needed that losing to the Warriors. I think that was important. And I think also it potentially could be the thing that saves James Harden. He's lost so many times in a hard way. It could be the thing that he looks at himself and brings into this year's playoffs as well. So I think that could be a sort of undercard thing. But I just don't think Luka's had that yet. I don't think he's had that moment where he's been shamed on where he thought he was going to win. He really thought he was going to win, and then he just didn't. I don't think he's had that moment where he's gone, I have to just get better. And I guess it's hard also. He's really good. I don't know how it's going to go. But we'll see. Let's jump on to one of the other ones. Another big thing that happened was obviously Russ got traded to the Utah Jazz, which I'm sure he absolutely hated, given his history with the Jazz. But, unfortunately, he had to be moved. There was just... the Lakers' locker room seemed horrible to be in. And I think at a certain point, it's not even about this season with the Russ trade. I think it's just about LeBron's mental health to some degree, and Russ's mental health, and the mental health of the whole team and the coaching staff and everybody. To some degree, it's just about, we need this to be less awkward all the time. If you've ever lived in a weird share house where it gets more and more tense over time, or you've ever worked at a place where, it's kind of going backwards and they're not making money, and if you've ever been in those environments, it's really tense all the time and it sucks. So I feel like this was as much that, even if they don't think they're going to win this year, I bet all of them, including Russ, are exhaling really, really hard right now because that situation seemed horrible. And if you watched yesterday, not yesterday, but the day before, I guess, for you US listeners, when LeBron broke the record, Russ wasn't really anywhere to be seen. Russ was kind of a bit aloof and a bit by himself, the whole thing. I think all of them were pretty happy for this to happen. For the Lakers with their new players, I still have D'Angelo Russell stock. I still believe I'm still holding on to the stock from the Brooklyn team that he was on before KD joined. I still think he can be effective, and honestly, he's at least something that they need. He's been 50, 40, 90 for the last month and a bit. So he definitely, in terms of 3-point shooting, they need him. Like, I bet LeBron he's gonna be so happy they have him. And Malik Beasley can get some buckets as well. And this Jared Vanderbilt guy seems pretty good. And I think all of those, I think the old Bill Simmons line is like, don't trade $1 for 4 quarters or whatever. You don't get as much back. But I think in this case, like, they're getting so much back for what they gave up for Russ, plus the 27 pick, which is good. They get to keep the 29 pick. I think everyone's happier. So that's good. For Russ, I mean, I don't know what his career is going to be like. This is 5 years, 5 teams, and all trades. No, he's been trying his hardest, and he's just got to trade it every year, so that sucks. I don't know what he's going to do. He's already accepted his role as a 6th man, and he proved to be pretty effective at that. But he still has that problem, which is that he thinks he can take over a game. And if you've ever played with a guy who thinks he's taken over a game and isn't, I think that happens just too much for Russ, where it can deflate the rest of the team, It can be really hard to play with someone who's making poor decisions all the time. It can be really frustrating. And, and this is the last year of his contract. I don't know if he's going to be in the NBA next year. Because I don't know what he is on a team. He's not Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, as a 6-man style person who's going to give you a bucket. He's not like Patrick Beverley coming off the bench giving energy and defense and a bit of veteran savvy. Because that's kind of the thing he doesn't have. He never got the veteran savvy part of being a veteran. He's just older but plays the exact same way and makes a lot of the same mistakes you'd expect a rookie to make. And that's not to say I don't hate Westbrook as a player either. I'm just saying he has very obvious flaws. And I think also on the Lakers, he didn't make sense for how their scheme worked anyway. So I also don't think it's entirely his fault. And I guess also the question is, and I guess I'm just going to go to the Lakers right now and LeBron, is I guess LeBron has to ask himself, how much does he want to win these more championships, or does he have other things that are more important now? This record, that was huge. But, other things that, he cares about more than basketball now, and that's totally fine. He's 38. I mean, the man's, almost in his 40s, and he's only done one job. A lot of these NBA players have done heaps of jobs by the time they're his age, and set up all these different things. And I mean, he has set up a lot of stuff, but I guess for him, he has to look at, this season's done. I hate to say, but it just is. It's done. Even with this trade, like I said, I think that was a mental health trade more than anything. Does he ask for a trade next year? I don't think so. I think it's terrible for his legacy, but what does he want for the rest of his NBA career? Because I don't see championships in LA. I don't see him winning more championships with the Lakers. That team, I think playing with LeBron's extremely stressful. So there's only a certain type of people that can actually even be his teammates. It's extremely stressful because when he's not winning, he'll blame other people, because he's proven that he can win championships. So it is technically other people's fault. And you're playing in one of the biggest markets in the world. It's extremely, and you don't get, and even if you win a championship, you don't get the recognition of winning it. LeBron gets the recognition, and I think this also kind of was sort of shown with him crossing the points mark, which was epic, and that was so cool what the NBA did with that, and so cool how he did it. But the people that were there in attendance, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but everybody that was in attendance at that game never played with him. J.R. Smith wasn't there dapping him up, which to me kind of felt weird. It's this should be a career achievement, have all these old people that, all awesome people that, he played with in the past and stuff like that. But it was just him and old Lakers legends. I don't know if anybody else thought that was weird. Maybe I'm the only one that cares about that stuff, but it's shouldn't someone have been there, I think it's just because it's so much of his legacy is about him And I think that this is the thing when he went to Miami, and he won the championships. He kind of lost that thing that's the part of a team element. Like when you think of Jordan and the Bulls, it's him, it's the 6 championships with the Bulls, but it's also what he means to Chicago. All the people in Chicago will stand up for that guy no matter what. No matter what LeBron conversations happening around them, they'll jump in and stand up for him because he represented so much of that city. Magic and Bird, same thing. Giannis is going to mean that to Bucks fans. I'm sure Nowitzki means that to Dallas fans. But he doesn't have that one fan base. He just has people that are fans of basketball that like how he plays, but he doesn't have that connection to the city base. So it's not like, and I guess Cleveland, I guess, is the closest for him, but he doesn't live there now. He doesn't play there now. He doesn't even go there now. So I don't know. For LeBron, it was like as cool as it was that moment. I don't know. I also kind of found it a little sad. It was like he's just doing this for himself now, I guess. Like he's not doing it for the city. I don't know. It's just sort of weird emptiness. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I was pretty baked. And I hope I covered enough points, and I hope some of these were interesting. If you're like me and this was pretty stressful, go smoke one. And until next time, keep it chill.